With the rise of body positivity and strides towards self-acceptance, many have begun wondering if we're finally moving away from hyper-perfectionism and towards a greater appreciation of so-called normal looks.
I mean, I can't believe the impact my teeth are having.
But on the other end of the spectrum, we're seeing concurrent trends that suggest a movement back in the other direction. So what's actually going on with looks as trends? Is normal really making a comeback? And what does it all really mean for us going forward? Let's take a closer look. Clothing trends are one thing. Styles have come and gone for as long as we've been wearing clothes. But it's a different issue when it's looks, actual physical characteristics that are coming in and out of vogue. This certainly isn't new, but with the rise of social media, the speed at which people are able to encounter these trends has increased exponentially, as has the speed with which marketers have been able to make them up.
All right, people, we need a new insecurity to feed to the young girls of the world. What do you got? Facial harmony. What does it mean? It mean, nose good, eye good, nose eye together bad. I don't understand. It's perfect.
From facial features to hair types and styles, everything is fair game to either be elevated to coveted status or marked as something that should be erased. And which side of the coin any specific characteristic lands on can change in an instant. This also means that the people who have these features naturally come up against some major problems. If the feature is getting a positive spotlight, they may find that suddenly everyone is starting to have it. Even people who had given them flack for having it before. And they might even find themselves getting accused of faking it. Or in the other direction, they might be made to feel like a feature makes them inadequate, as if it's something that needs to be changed if they want to be truly beautiful.
Guys, she's got glasses and a ponytail. Oh, look at that. She's got paint on her overalls. What is that? Guys, there's no way she could be prom queen.
As we talked about in our video on curly hair, for example, while loose ringlets have come in and out of fashion over the decades, black women were long made to feel that they needed to fully straighten their hair to be considered pretty, even if it came at great pains to them.
Getting a relaxer can be very painful.
And you'd sit there while it burned in little bitty parts. And then she'd say, hold on, babe, just don't be tenderhead.
And of course, underneath all of these flip-flopping trends rests the foundation that is the fear of aging.
It gets harder each time to remember that you still deserve to exist.
Because particularly for women, the idea of beauty is so closely tied to youth, so many trends are born from a desire to keep connected to the younger you for as long as possible.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
What year were you born?
1977.
When did you graduate high school?
94.
When did you turn 40?
2017.
Junior high crush?
Kirk Cameron.
Prom theme?
Motown Philly, Boys to Men.
While men have a different experience in that they're generally allowed to age without comment and have things like dad bod, etc. They're not free from the pressures entirely either. Just take the push towards impossible superhero abs or the concern over height. The seemingly constant flood of information about things we should tweak or change about ourselves, little improvements that will totally change our lives, things everyone else seems to be doing that seems to make them happier, and so maybe make us happier too, or at least that's the hope. Dr. Gary Goldfield of the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario Research Institute told the American Psychological Association, youth are spending on average between 6 to 8 hours per day on screens, much of it on social media. Social media can expose users to hundreds or even thousands of images and photos every day, including those of celebrities and fashion or fitness models, which we know leads to an internalization of beauty ideals that are unattainable for almost everyone, resulting in greater dissatisfaction with body weight and shape. And in this kind of environment, it seems like no one can win. Even the most classically beautiful still have people searching for anything to give them flack for, from cutting their hair to toe thumbs. All of this can lead to a lot of stress over how to perfect everything at all times. A race to keep up with every flip-flopping trend, approximate the image that's currently the most desired, and sand away any part of you that doesn't fit. So unsurprisingly, many have grown tired of trying to keep up with all of this and the expectation that they not only need to swap out their clothes, but their actual human bodies just to fit in. This has led to an alternate push, one seeking to embrace themselves as they are. After years of ubiquitous, obvious plastic surgery that's main goal is often to make people look like real-life versions of social media filters, there's been a growing undercurrent of a desire to return to appreciating normal looks. This, of course, brings up the question of what normal really means, since normal is entirely subjective. But in this case, it seems to just be a general desire to see people who haven't completely altered their entire faces and bodies and haven't sanded down every single thing that might make them unique. This certainly isn't the first time the pendulum has swung in this direction. In the 60s and 70s, for example, as independent and art house films started to make their mark in Hollywood as the studio and star system began to fade away, there was a focus on real-looking people in real-looking places. Hollywood didn't move away from classically beautiful people completely, of course, but there was a clear trend away from the aesthetic perfection that earlier decades had aimed for in their makeup, hair, clothing, and everything else. Instead, more relatable, everyday people and places began filling up screens.
I feel like something incredible is really gonna happen here.
Now, again, after we saw a big push towards plastic surgery and augmenting your entire look into some desired, often actually unobtainable self at the beginning of this century, we've started to see another wave of pushback and growing interest in seeing people that look, well, like people. This is part of the draw of some sides of social media, that it gives us a window into the lives of other people that are quite like us. But because social media has now become a job for many, it's become overwhelmed with people and companies trying to sell us things, pretending to be relatable only insofar as it will enable them to make us feel like if we just buy or change one thing, we can be just like them. But no matter how intense the push towards perfection gets, there's always a thread of desire for the real that remains. While we can see the changes in desire for real versus perfect across eras, we can also see variations based on location as well. People have long noticed an interesting split between British actors and American ones, for example, in that the British actors often look more like everyday people, and the Americans are expected to look Hollywood perfect, unless they're deliberately making themselves look quote-unquote ugly to go after an Oscar. American actors that look like regular people are often put into the character actor category.
When you get to heaven, look up Margot Martindale. I won't be there, but my movies will!
We've seen this play out in a big way recently with actress Amy Lou Wood. She first became known to audiences as Amy in Sex Education, but has recently had her big moment in the spotlight thanks to her turn as Chelsea on the 3rd season of HBO hit The White Lotus. Many viewers loved her authentic look and the fact that she hadn't caved to the pressure to replace her natural teeth with big shiny veneers.
Oh my God, it feels so lovely after a real full circle moment after being bullied for my teeth forever, and now people are clapping in an audience because I've got these dashes.
But unfortunately, the response wasn't all positive. There were, of course, people ready to mock her for her look, to the point that Saturday Night Live even decided to throw a dig at her into a sketch for no reason.
You all right? What's that?
In the fan response defending Amy, we can see how tired so many of us are of women getting mocked for just looking how they look. But the situation also highlights the double-edged sword all women, but especially women in the public eye in any capacity, have to contend with. As we can see with the issue Amy Lou Wood encountered, no matter what look happens to be in or out at any given moment, women are often made to feel like there's no way to win. If they try to change themselves to fit in, they're mocked for being fake. But if they don't, then they're mocked for being out of trend or called ugly. Women are constantly pulled between the message that they're just enough as they are and the idea that they could be better if they just changed one or two little things.
If it's just for myself, shouldn't I be comfortable?
No! Put yourself first in a sexy way.
In adopting terms of self-care, a lot of push to change oneself has been able to be laundered under the guise of loving oneself. You should totally accept yourself, but why not be the best you that you can be? The explosion of the use of GLP-1 drugs for weight loss has brought this dilemma to the forefront of many women's lives. They finally attain the thin bodies society told them they should have, only to be met with complaints about other parts of them, like so-called Ozempic face. In 2024, an Allure investigation found that many plastic surgeons were noticing that usage of GLP-1s seemed to be rapidly aging the skin itself all over the body of patients. Kara Nesvig wrote, "In her practice, Umbareen Mahmood, a board-certified plastic surgeon in New York City, has noticed accelerated aging in the face of patients who have lost a considerable amount of weight on a GLP-1, noting increased fine lines, jowling, preorbital hollowness, and crepiness of the skin. But skin changes are also showing up on arms, legs, and stomachs. TikTok star Remy Bader, who shot to fame on the app for showcasing what popular clothes looked like on an average woman's body in a relatable, humorous way, recently came under fire for concealing the truth about her weight loss journey. Fans weren't upset that she lost the weight, but more the way she went about it made it feel like her previous embrace of normal was only a cover.
She built her audience off of being plus size, relatable, and honest. Now it should go without saying that her body, her choice. She needs to maintain the relatable and honest part of her brand.
Because of the competing pressures, many find themselves trying to keep a foot in both worlds. To keep up with the trends, but in a low-key way. As Madeline Hirsch wrote for InStyle, this desire for a more natural and subtle look is a key theme in today's quickly changing world of filler. These buzzwords are used by clients to describe their desired results, by practitioners to describe trends, and even by the American Society of Plastic Surgeons across all areas of the industry, not just injectables.
Wrinkled, wrinkled little star. Hope they never see the scars.
Dr. Renata Kalemsky explained, I get the exact opposite request these days. I want to look natural, and by natural, I mean I'm okay with people not even realizing I've had filler done. So instead of embracing actual normal, people are hoping to get to a kind of normal plus, where they can pretend they love themselves the way they are without actually having to stay the way they were born. At the end of the day, it's fine to change things about yourself as you see fit, as long as you're actually doing it because you want to, and not because you feel like you have to.
And I just always felt more inside than how I looked on the outside. So I really patterned my look after the town tramp. I didn't know anything about that part then. I just knew she was beautiful.
It's just important that people who do have influence are aware of and accept the fact that they do have that power to sway people's opinions of themselves. They can't just be happy to use their influence to sell everything under the sun, but then say, oh no, not this one thing. You can't be influenced by this one thing I've done, just everything else.
Even if you don't think you're encouraging people to get this procedure, language does matter. Talking about how her eyes were really droopy and that when someone gets this kind of bleph, afterwards they'll look refreshed. What do you think that language says to people who are watching you?
So, is society really in a new wave of accepting normal? The truth is, it will probably be something that continues to wax and wane just like every other time it's come back in. What's actually different this time around is that we do actually have some control over the media we're seeing. We have the opportunity to actually seek out and uplift people who are really unashamedly embracing themselves and their looks. While we can't stop the barrage of media about what we should change about ourselves, we can stop ourselves from seeing so much of it. A 2023 study found that limiting social media use to 1 hour per day can lead to an improved view of one's appearance and weight. That's certainly easier said than done, especially when so much of our lives are online now. But even small changes can have a big impact, so hopefully together we can all work towards creating a world where we can all appreciate what makes us uniquely us.
The plastic surgery business is booming, but with buccal fat removal, BBLs, veneers, and Ozempic all clogging up TikTok feeds, people are finding it hard to keep up with the latest trends. And the result is more people than ever making body modifications that they regret, but that are impossible to reverse.
You can't put filler or fat deep into that compartment where you remove the buccal fat, so it's never gonna look quite the same.
If we look at just the last 2 decades, beauty trends in women have ranged wildly from the ultra skinny models of the 2000s to the fuller figured Kardashian-esque models of the 2010s, and now back toward an updated heroine chic. But if you got a procedure to make your face look like Kylie Jenner's in the 2010s, or are doing that to look like Bella Hadid's now, these aren't necessarily steps that can be undone. Even celebrities can't always completely reverse their past decisions, and they have the luxury of being able to access the best surgeons, while ordinary people aren't so lucky.
My side veneer, popped off. So now, this is what it looks like.
Here's our take on plastic surgery regrets, the pressure to permanently modify in chasing fleeting trends, and whether you can create a culture that allows people the freedom to choose what they do with their body without making them anxious about the body they've been born with. Surgery runs in trends. And right now, ever since Chrissy Teigen got buccal fat removal in September 2021, everyone from Lea Michele to Zoe Kravitz have got the same thing done, with the buccal fat removal hashtag exploding on socials.
I'm really seeing the results, and I like it.
But surgeons are already warning that it's a permanent response to what might be a temporary aesthetic trend. Dermatologist Elise Love says 5 years from now, we may find that dermal fillers have become popular to correct previous buccal fat pad augmentation. But buccal fat doesn't come back once it's been removed. And while the initial effect is to accentuate cheekbones, long-term, it could cause the face to look gaunt and hollow and have an artificial premature aging effect.
All those young girls who are permanently removing that fat from their face are going to look like skeletons in a few years. You just wait.
While buccal fat removal is focused on a thinner look, other recent cosmetic trends have been about creating a fuller figure. Back before the pandemic, the Brazilian butt lift, or BBL, was the procedure du jour. Celebrities like Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, and Jennifer Lopez had helped create this curvaceous ideal body image, and such was the popularity of the procedure that the American Association of Plastic Surgeons were forced to put out a pretty serious warning in 2018, revealing the mortality rate was 1 in 3,000, far higher than any other cosmetic surgery.
After my surgery and I came back to England, my body was perfect, and it was only when I was having my massages done, one of the masseuses was like, I think you still have fluid left inside you.
Overall, the huge pressure to get these surgeries has created a wider market, which is being filled with people aggressively marketing the need for them and offering the procedures at a lower rate. Veneers have also become big business in recent years, but more and more people are expressing their regrets at changing their smiles for a cut price. R&B singer Kehlani addressed her TikTok to say that her cheap veneers were a pain for 3 years before she was able to get them redone at a higher cost.
I really want y'all to stop traveling and getting these bad resin veneers.
While on the one hand, we can celebrate the increased accessibility of procedures and the freedom of choice people now have to augment their bodies however they see fit, on the other, it's worth asking whether the kind of culture that creates this market is a healthy one. Recently, the diabetes drug Ozempic has been in the news having been prescribed as a weight loss hack, but people soon realized that this quick, drastic weight loss causes the face to sag and again, makes you look a lot older.
Volume in the face is also going away, and it's not necessarily a great look.
Underpinning all of this is a desire to fit a particular beauty standard and pop culture or commercial influences that make us feel we must conform to it. It's increasingly a problem for men as well, but the industry is especially female-dominated because of the huge pressure placed on women to look a certain way. And when that certain way is always in flux, it's fighting a losing battle.
I'll look as young as my plastic surgeons will allow me.
When you change your body, you change more than just the aesthetic. You're changing a part of yourself, and that might be the biggest regret of all. Bella Hadid famously had rhinoplasty at a young age because of insecurities around the size of her nose, but has recently come out and spoken about how her original nose reminded her of her familial heritage. She said, "I wish I had kept the nose of my ancestors. I think I would have grown into it." Her words refer as much to psychological growth as physical growth.
I used to feel like no makeup in the world could make me feel good about myself.
Courtney Cox also famously got a lot of cosmetic surgery as she got older, but then reversed many of the procedures in what many viewed as an attempt to look more like herself. UK influencer Molly May echoed the same sentiments after getting her lip fillers dissolved. We see how these cosmetic procedures become a solution to low self-esteem, but that also they create a sense of self that is somehow artificial and maybe over time even harder to live with.
I'm really going through a bit of a journey at the moment with everything, like just really toning things down and making myself feel a lot more natural.
It's no surprise that people are having this conflicted sense of self, given that what's inspiring so many people to get surgery is a pursuit of a face that literally doesn't exist. The Guardian's Elle Hunt talks about the rise of selfie dysmorphia brought on by Facetune and photo filters that distort what you actually look like into something glowing and flawless. She reveals that in 2017, 55% of cosmetic surgeons said patients' motivations was to look better in selfies, up from 13% the previous year. At the same time, there is still a level of societal taboo around cosmetic surgery, to the point where people who get it done to hide their perceived flaws are trolled specifically for their new fake look. So while you may have solved one problem, you've potentially created a lot more.
Why would you get a facelift?
Can't you look at other facelifts and realize they haven't worked all the bugs out yet?
And really, this comes down to your sense of self, which is something that is never fixed. In Grey's Anatomy, Robert Fisher comes into the hospital having had extreme facial modifications to look like a cat. And while admitting it did have some advantages, ultimately it's a decision he comes to regret because the person it turned him into, the life it made him live, isn't the one he wanted.
Everybody said, "You think you're gonna like this in 20 years?" I thought I would. I thought I knew who I was.
The ease and speed with which we can make these modifications on social media has maybe made us think they're less drastic than they actually are. In reality, we can see how they're not decisions to be taken lightly. All surgeries come with risks. That's a given. The problem with cosmetic surgery is that those risks seem to be increasing. In 2022, the British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons warned that there had been a 44% rise in botched cosmetic surgeries coming from abroad, citing the so-called Zoom boom, increased awareness of one's own face brought on by increased screen time during the pandemic as a contributing factor. A previous investigation from The Guardian also showed just how many deaths were occurring from people traveling to get surgeries in the Dominican Republic.
A local woman dies during plastic surgery in the Dominican Republic, the third such death involving an American in a month.
So we see the problems aren't just that surgeries are irreversible, it's that some practitioners are advertising a higher standard than what they can actually deliver. Celebrities can afford the best surgeons, the best procedures, the best aftercare, and have the money to either top surgeries up over time or reverse many of them when they grow tired of their new look. But this simply isn't accessible to the average consumer. It's easy to say the solution to this is for people to try and look deeper in themselves to find that happiness that they're maybe chasing with procedures, but that ignores how the culture around cosmetic surgery needs to change, to let people know that it's not as simple as hitting a filter on your phone, and if you don't like it, you might just have to live with it anyway. Cosmetic surgery can be important and affirming. In cases of body dysmorphia, it's an essential tool, but it's something that requires real consideration. Kelly Rowland famously said she waited 10 years before wanting to get breast implants and actually getting them to make sure she really wanted them.
Now it's a very much so open space for people to be more vulnerable.
However, if it's just chasing a trend, then you may end up creating a dysmorphia that wasn't there in the first place. It's great we have the choice to do these things, but just because we do, doesn't mean the choice isn't a big one, and one that we should really think about before jumping straight in.
There's no scientific proof that your body type says anything about you as a person, but this idea is back in the zeitgeist, and body typing has blown up into a surprising modern craze.
Part 2 of how to find out your body type.
For a long time, humans held on to the belief that how we look is a clue to our personalities, whether that's the medieval idea that outer beauty reflects inner virtue, or psychoanalyst Carl Jung saying that bodily traits are not merely physical, nor mental traits merely psychic. Over the years, this has crystallized into certain categories of bodies and what they're thought to represent. Athletic, muscular bodies are associated with courage and bravery. Hourglass bodies are confident, romantic, and independent, while round bodies are funny and easygoing. And tall, skinny people are often seen as shy and introverted.
Let's grow ourselves a big, lanky, goggle-eyed freak.
All right, calm down, mate. There's no need to get offensive.
No, I was joining in.
Call you fatties.
All right, I was joining in with what?
Today, people are turning to the Kibbe system to find out how to dress for their bodies, yet what they're getting isn't just a type, but an image identity, and getting their entire essence defined as either a dramatic, a classic, a natural, a gamine, or a romantic.
The great thing about Kibbe is it will work for every height, every race, every weight.
Of course, there is no proven correlation between what a person looks like and the kind of person they are. So is there anything to body typing, and why are we so willing to believe there must be? William Sheldon's theory of somatotypes dates back to the 1940s and splits people in just 3 distinct categories. Ectomorphs, tall and thin, introverted but artistic. Endomorphs, soft and round, sociable and relaxed. And mesomorphs, hard and muscular, risky and competitive. Sheldon's work has been resoundingly debunked as pseudoscience, but body typing in different iterations continues to periodically come back in, even in our modern era after there's been so much pushback to judging people based on their appearances. The Kibbe body type test has amassed over 80 million views on TikTok. On the surface, these categorizations, popularized by stylist David Kibbe back in 1987, are all about how to dress for the body shape you are, and they've caught on because they offer this guidance.
Dramatics have long and sharp bones, so they need tailored pieces. Soft dramatics dress predominantly for their long bones, plus accommodation for curve.
Kibbe's formula is based on the idea of softness and sharpness, or yin and yang, and is itself an adaptation of a concept introduced by Iowa State University professor Harriet Tilden McJimsey in her 1963 book Art in Clothing. If you have more angular features, more yang, you're a dramatic or a natural. Rounder, softer yin features makes you a gamine or an ingenue, and somewhere in the middle means you're a classic or a romantic. But in the style guide written by Kibbe, there are also plenty of character judgments amongst the more objective physical descriptions. Gamines are friendly and casual, classics have a gracious and serene manner, naturals have an informal, casual manner. And these characterizations come from the fact that Kibbe was inspired by old Hollywood divas. Joan Crawford, the archetypal dramatic, Ingrid Bergman, the natural, Grace Kelly, the classic, Goldie Hawn, the gamine, Elizabeth Taylor, the romantic, Debbie Reynolds, the ingenue. So he was effectively applying the characters they played and their on-screen personas to their body types.
Fiddle-dee-dee. Ashley Wilkes told me he liked to see a girl with a healthy appetite.
Ultimately, body typing is a way of putting people in a neat box, and that's actually a big reason they catch on. People are looking to definitively categorize themselves, eliminate uncertainty about which path they should follow, and then to latch onto an easy framework and a rule book to operate by.
In general, it's recommended that theatrical romantics avoid that really baggy, unconstructed look.
In that sense, the popularity of the Kibbe type goes hand in hand with personality categorizations, like the Myers-Briggs tests, sorting people into type A or type B, or astrological signs and horoscopes.
He's a Libra moon, that says a lot!
And while boxes may certainly be limiting, it becomes really difficult to tell how much substance body typing or any of these tests are onto because there's a chicken and egg situation at play. The more we believe in a certain idea of ourselves, the more we act to confirm that belief, and typing is modeled for us everywhere we look. On screen, the ubiquitous practice of typecasting makes us associate certain traits with certain bodies, often with problematic consequences. Actors like Melissa McCarthy and Jack Black both came up in comedy rather than romantic or dramatic roles, so were seen as reinforcing a long tradition of fatter bodies being viewed as funnier.
I did 7 years of very dramatic, troubled plays, and I thought, I'll never do comedy again. And then I moved to LA and just did comedy, so I don't know what I'm doing.
On the flip side, actors who fit the more dramatic type, like Tilda Swinton or Anya Taylor-Joy, get cast as striking, aloof, complicated personas. And when actors change dominant personas, that often means altering their bodies. Chris Pratt was a more comedic actor in Parks and Rec, but then bulked up, got buff, and overnight began to get cast as an archetypal leading man.
Mr. Mizrani wanted me to consult with you.
You want to consult here or in my bungalow?
Privately, we subconsciously adopt this messaging and apply it to ourselves, and when our mental image of our type is challenged, people can properly melt down. After Tressie McMillan Cottom went viral on TikTok for saying,
"Blonde is not a hair color. It is a signifier of a type of person."
A number of other videos popped up of people who thought they were blondes having an identity crisis upon realizing they were actually brunettes.
One of my favorite genres of video right now are brunette women spinning out because they've identified as blonde their whole life and finally someone told them that they have brown hair.
And while some of the responses were more grounded or tongue-in-cheek, they still captured the way that if a person's hair color or other physical factors change over time, they continue to mentally put themselves in the old box. So then what happens when that box is broken? And regardless, given how multifaceted humans actually are, can you even genuinely fit yourself into any predetermined category without losing something important of yourself?
You like something, you like it. I don't think anybody should be put in a box ever.
One name who comes up a lot in body typing discussion as an example of an idealized kind of beauty is Marilyn Monroe.
She would fall under the quote-unquote youthful essence or the ingenue essence.
But in recent years, there has been an intense questioning of whether the extreme cultural objectification of Marilyn really serves her memory. Her intelligence, real personality, and career as an actor all get overlooked in favor of the idea of her body type, which contemporary celebrities like Kim Kardashian consciously try to evoke.
Marilyn became the most famous woman in the world. She still is.
Self-illuminating body, the star.
Meanwhile, a glaring problem when it comes to body typing is that, predictably, it privileges the body types of white, conventionally attractive bodies. Kibbe's original system was all based on Hollywood beauties, but when you line up these conventional beautiful starlets from Hollywood's golden age, is there really that much physical variety there? Nowhere is the bias of body typing more apparent than in its treatment of fat people. While some may assume the stereotype of the funny, easygoing fat person has pretty much always existed, in her essay The World Used to Love Fat Women, blogger Symptoms of Living illustrates how in ancient Greece and throughout the Renaissance, fatness was more culturally desirable than it is now. It was only in the late 19th century when thinness became prized, particularly amongst women, so ideas that are projected onto fatness in our modern era aren't just picking up on something inherent, they're subjective and culturally specific. And when you hold up any one ideal type of body for all to emulate, the result is that other body types become pathologized.
I need to know that I have done one thing right with my life.
Also, excluded from a lot of body typing discourse are disabled bodies, so in much of pop culture, if you ever do see a disabled body, more often than not, it's associated with evil and villainy.
Doesn't have hands. She's got claws. Witches have larger nose holes than normal people. And all witches are bald.
Many important cultural figures today consciously challenge preconceptions people have about their body types. Lizzo's high-energy, provocative performances have made people reconsider the things they're told about fat people being unfit or unhealthy. People reacted in a similar way to her revealing she was vegan. Speaking to Vanity Fair, she said, "People were like, 'You're a vegan? What? Are you deep frying the lettuce? I'm not a vegan to lose weight. I just feel better when I eat plants.'"
I made vegan franken beans, add some vegan bacon, please.
Actor Peter Dinklage has also pushed beyond the boundaries of what is typically allowed for actors with dwarfism. He has played complex male leads like witty, flawed Tyrion in Game of Thrones, and the romantic lead in Cyrano and The Station Agent. He's also openly criticized how stereotypes about dwarves are still perpetuated in culture, challenging the upcoming remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves.
7 dwarves living in a cave? What the f*** are you doing, man?
We all make snap judgments about people based on what they look like, but these judgments typically say more about us.
You call yourself Fat Amy?
Yeah, so twig bitches like you don't do it behind my back.
Advice about dressing for your body type can truly be useful, a way to demystify something that doesn't come naturally to everyone and make you feel good about yourself. But applying moral value to that is dangerous and creates a culture where more people don't fit than do. That's the take. Click here to watch a video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.